Westlife.
Westlife were an Irish boys band, formed in July 1998 and disbanded in June 2012. Originally signed by Simon Cowell and managed by Louis Walsh, the group's final lineup consisted of Nicky Byrne, Kian Egan, Feehily and Shane Filan. Brian McFadden was a member from 1998 until his departure in 2004. Filan and Feehliy act as the lead singers of the band. Westlife sold over 45 million records worldwide, a total that included studio albums, singles, video releases, and compilation albums. The group accumulated 14 #1 singles in the United Kingdom. They achieved a total of 26 UK top 10 singles over their 14-year career. Westlife are the most frequent winner of the Record of the Year, winning 4 times, and in 2012. The official charts company listed Westlife 34th amongst the biggest-selling singles artists in British music history. Despite their success worldwide, Westlife never managed to break into the US market, achieving only one hit single in 2000, Swear It Again. The group have currently, based on BPI certifications, sold a minimum of 11.1 million albums and 6.8 million singles in the UK alone.
History. Formation 1997-98.
Kian Egan, Feehly and Shane Filan, along with fellow Sligo men Derek Lacey, Graham Caron, and Michael Garrett, were part of a 6-member pop vocal group called 6 as 1, changed in 1997 to IOYOU. The group, managed by choreographer Mary McOna and 2 other informal managers, released a single titled Together Girl Forever. Louis Walsh, the manager of fellow Irish boy band Boyzone, came to know the group after he was contacted by Filan's mother, but the group failed to secure a BMG record deal with Cowell. Cowell told Walsh, "You are going to have to fire at least 3 of them. They have great voices, but they are the ugliest band I have ever seen in my life." 3 members of the band were told they would not be part of the new group, and auditions were held in Dublin where Nicky Byrne and Brian McFadden were recruited. The new group, formed on July 3, 1998, was renamed West, but that name was already in use by another band, so it was changed to Westlife. In Westlife, Our Story, Byrne revealed that, unlike the others in the group, he was keen to change the name to West High. McFadden also changed the spelling of his name to Brian to make it easier to sign autographs. Boyzone singer Ronan Keating was brought in to co-manage the group with Walsh. The band then released an EP titled Swear It Again.
Debut album 1998-99.
Westlife's first big break came in 1998 when they opened for the Boyzone and Backstreet Boys concerts in Dublin. Later act awarded the Smash Hits poll winners party. In April 1999, the group released their first single, Swear It Again, which immediately topped the charts in Ireland and in the UK for 2 weeks. Their second single, If I Let You Go, was released in August 1999, along with the highly acclaimed Flying Without Wings, produced by Steve Mac and written by Wayne Hector. Their first Record of the Year, released in October the same year, also followed suit. Flying Without Wings was also included on the soundtrack of the Warner Brothers film, Pokémon, the movie 2000. Their first album, simply titled Westlife, was released in November 1999 and went to number 2 in the UK. The album was the biggest chart dropper on the top 40 in UK music history when, in its 58th week on the charts, it leapt from number 79 to number 3 before falling to number 37 the following week. In December 1999, a 4th, double-side, single was released, I Have a Dream/Seasons in the Sun. It knocked Cliff Richard's The Millennium Prayer off the top spot and earned them the 1999 UK Christmas #1 single. The 5th and last single from the album, Fool Again, also peaked at number 1. Then the group went on a short UK, US and Asian tour in support of their debut album before releasing a second album.
Coast to Coast and World of Our Own 1999-2001.
Coast to Coast was released a year later and was another #1 UK album, beating the Spice Girls' Forever album. it became the country's fourth biggest-selling album of 2000. The album was preceded by a duet with Mariah Carey singing the Phil Collins classic Against All Odds, Take a Look at Me Now, and the original song My Love, their second Record of the Year award. Both singles reached number 1 on the UK charts. With this, Westlife broke an unexpected record of the most consecutive number 1 singles in the UK, having their first 7 singles debut at the top. However, in December 2000, they failed to secure their 8th chart topper in a row, with their UK and Ireland-only single, What Makes a Man, when Kids' favourite, Bob the Builder's Can We Fix It, was crowned as the Christmas number 1 single of that year. Outside the UK and Ireland, they gained chart success with I Lay My Love on You, and When You're Looking Like That. In 2001, they launched their first world tour, Where Dreams Come True Tour, unofficially nicknamed the No Stools Tour due to the group's reputation of performing while perched on stools. Westlife released World of Our Own, their third album, in November 2001. Uptown Girl, Queen of My Heart, and World of Our Own were released as singles, all of which peaked at number 1 in the UK. Bop Bop Baby was also released as a single, but it peaked at number 5 in the UK singles chart. In 2002, Westlife went on their second world tour, the World of Our Own Tour, in the round.
Unbreakable, Turnaround, and McFadden's Departure 2002-04.
The group released their 11th UK number 1 single, Unbreakable in 2002. Amidst rumours of a split, Westlife released their first greatest hits album in November that same year titled Unbreakable, The Greatest Hits Volume 1, which zoomed all the way to number 1 in the UK. The release was followed by the double-side single Tonight Miss You Nights, which debuted at number 3 in the UK. At this time, Because Films Inspire made a TV documentary titled Wild West Life, directed by Ian MacDonald and starred the group, featuring their daily life as musicians and their tour experiences. In 2003, Westlife went on their third world tour, the Greatest Hits Tour, shrugging off rumours of a split. In September 2003, Westlife released Hey Whatever, which peaked at number 4 on the UK charts. Their fourth studio album, Turnaround, was then released in November, earning the group another UK number 1 album. Mandy, a cover of the Barry Manilow hit, was released in November 2003. Their version won them their third Record of the Year award, in under 5 years. Their version of Mandy is also considered the single with the longest leap to the top, from number 200 to number 1, in UK music history. Obvious was released as the final single from the album, charting at number 3. On March 9, 2004, just 3 weeks prior to embarking on their fourth world tour, Brian McFadden left the group to spend more time with his family and work on solo projects. On that day, a press conference was held where all the group's members were present, each giving emotional individual speeches. McFadden's final public performance as part of Westlife was at Newcastle upon Tyne's Powerhouse nightclub on February 27, 2004. He subsequently began a solo career, and reverted the spelling of his first name back to its original Brian. He released his first solo single, Real to Me, which entered the UK chart at number 1, and soon after, he released his first solo album Irish Sun under Sony Music. McFadden later released more singles, but only with moderate success. Less than a month after McFadden's departure, the group kicked off their turnaround tour. A live version, from the tour, of Flying Without Wings was released as an official UK download, earning them the title of the very first UK downloads number 1. In September 2004, they performed on the World Music Awards, where they were recognised as the best Irish act of that year. They then released a Rat Pack-inspired album, Allow Us to Be Frank, which peaked at number 3. No singles from this album were released in the UK. Ain't That a Kick in the Head, accompanied with a music video, was released as a physical single in other European countries. Smile, and Fly Me to the Moon, both with music videos as well, were released as digital downloads only. Prior to the release of the Allow Us to Be Frank album, Westlife scouted for the perfect fan to help promote their album from their one-season special show She's the One, presented by Kate Thornton. After X Factor-style auditions, they found Joanne Hindley, who recorded The Way You Look Tonight with the group. To mark this special collaboration, a special program was televised, showing auditions and live performances. Westlife continued to tour Europe as part of their The Number Ones tour, before taking a 4-month break. On May 4, 2005, Westlife lost their battle for European trademark from the German trademark West.
Allow Us to Be Frank, Face to Face, The Love Album, and Back Home 2004-07.
In October 2005, Westlife returned with their comeback single, You Raise Me Up, which was taken from their Face to Face album. On November 5, 2005, both the album and the single were at number 1 in the UK, at the same time, during the second week of the single. It was the first time that Westlife had held both the top album and the top single position in the same week. You Raise Me Up was awarded as their 4th Record of the Year in the UK, for 2005. In December of that year, the group released, When You Tell Me That You Love Me, a duet with Diana Ross, as the second single, and it debuted at its peak position of number 2. Westlife then released a third single, Amazing, which debuted at number 4 and marked as the group's lowest-selling single yet. After that, Westlife embarked on the Face to Face tour, travelling extensively to the UK, Ireland, Australia and Asia. This tour marked the first time that Westlife travelled to mainland China for a concert. In late 2006, Westlife signed a brand new 5-album deal with Sony BMG. Their 8th album, The Love Album, was a love concept album which consisted of popular love song covers. The album outsold other compilation albums by Oasis, The Beatles, and U2 in its first week of release and went straight to number 1. The first single from the Love album was a cover version of Bette Midler's classic, The Rose, which became their 14th UK number 1 single. This made Westlife the third act, along with Cliff Richard, in the UK to have the most number 1 singles, tailing behind Elvis Presley, 21, and the Beatles, 17. Westlife then kicked off their 8th world tour, the Love Tour, in Perth, Australia. The group then went on to other Australian cities before moving on to South Africa, the UK and Ireland. On November 5, 2007, Westlife released their 9th album, Back Home, which contained 9 new original songs along with 3 cover songs. The album debuted at number 1 on the UK music charts and it was also 2007's 5th biggest-selling album in the UK. The first single released from the album was a cover of Michael Buble's Home, which peaked at number 3 in the UK. I'm Already There, not released as a single, managed to chart in the UK based on downloads alone, following a performance on the X Factor episode. On December 15, 2007, they had a 2-hour show called The Westlife Show where they performed 10 of their songs, some of which were voted online by fans and some from Back Home. It was hosted by Holly Willoughby. Months later, Us Against the World was announced and released as their second single in UK and Ireland. Before the release of the second single, they embarked on the Back Home tour on February 25, 2008. This tour marked the first time that the group had travelled and performed in New Zealand, performing 4 sold-out shows in Auckland, Wellington, New Plymouth and Christchurch. Meanwhile, Something Right was released as the second single and Us Against the World became the third single in Europe and the Asia-Pacific region. Both songs performed well on several music charts. Music Week revealed on their website that Westlife were the official third top touring act within the years 2005 to 2008, while they were the 7th top touring act of 2008.
10th anniversary in hiatus 2008-09.
To mark their 10th year in music, Westlife staged a special 10 Years of Westlife, a sold-out concert at the world's 33rd biggest and Europe's 4th biggest stadium, Croke Park, on June 1, 2008. Shane Wood filled in as a support act for the concert, which Egan described to be a pop extravaganza. Filan confirmed that a corresponding live concert DVD would be released. The group announced that they would be on hiatus for a year after their back home tour and that there would not be an album release in 2008 as they would be spending more time on the production of their 10th album. As promised, the group's official website confirmed on September 27, 2008 the release of a DVD on November 24, 2008 entitled 10 Years of Westlife, Live at Croke Park Stadium, which went straight to number 1 on UK, Ireland, South African, Hong Kong and New Zealand music DVD charts. As the group ended another successful tour, Louis Walsh announced in the show XPOSE that July 1, 2008 would be the official start of the longest hiatus of the group. He said that it will be a one-year break, from that day up to July 1, 2009. On December 13, 2008, while on a break, Westlife made an unexpected appearance on X Factor Final Performance Night where they performed Flying Without Wings with JLS. After the presentation, Filan and Byrne were interviewed on Extra Factor with Ronan Keating and Stephen Gately of Boyzone. As JLS also performed, I'm Already There, Westlife's version of the song re-entered the UK singles chart at number 63 while a new entry on Ireland singles chart at number 47 due to extensive downloads only. On the last week of January 2009, a DVD entitled The Karaoke Collection was released. It contained some of their music video hits. In the 27th February 2009 issue of Herald Ireland, Louis Walsh revealed that Simon Cowell had already picked 3 new songs which he believed would be instant hits. On March 18, 2009, Westlife won the Best Irish Pop Act on the 2009 Meteor Awards for the 9th consecutive time.
Where We Are on Gravity 2009-10.
Their 10th album, Where We Are, was released on November 30, 2009 in the UK and peaked at number 2 on both Irish and UK albums charts. The new single, What About Now, was released a few weeks earlier on October 23, 2009, with digital downloads being available the day before. The said single peaked at number 2 on both Irish and UK singles chart. Daughtry's original version of the song gained exposure on the audition rounds of the X Factor prior to Westlife's release. They were also part of the Haiti charity single in early 2010 with Everybody Hurts, an R.E.M. cover which was organised by Cowell. The tour in support of this album was called the Where We Are Tour. The video album for the tour was released on DVD and Blu-ray format on November 29, 2010. The 11th album was recorded and processed with songwriter-producer John Shanks in London and Los Angeles and was entirely produced by Shanks. On November 14, 2010, the single Safe was released. It debuted on the UK singles chart on November 21 at number 10, giving the group their 25th top 10 single in the United Kingdom. It was also their lowest charting lead single to date in the country. The new album titled Gravity was released on November 22, 2010. It went to number 1 in Ireland and number 3 in the UK. In March 2011, they started their 11th major concert tour, the Gravity Tour. This tour marked the first time the group travelled to Amman, Namibia, Gwangju and Vietnam for concerts. Westlife was named the 4th most hard-working music artist in the UK by PRS in 2010. In August 2011, it was reported in the Irish Examiner that the profits of the band's firm grew 5-fold in 2010.
Greatest Hits and Split 2011-12.
On March 14, 2011, Westlife confirmed that they had left Cowell after 13 years and his record label Psycho Music after 9 years. The group cited Psycho's decision not to release a second single from Gravity as the reason. Byrne felt it as another reason of being unloved. We signed to Simon back in 1998 and he was brilliant, but then came the development of the X Factor and American Idol. Simon became famous himself and his interests went that way rather than on Westlife. We almost felt a little bit unloved with Simon Cowell, if I was to be honest. We had it, full-time support, with Simon, but he got so busy and would do it at the very last minute and we needed someone who was on it all the time. After going back to RCA Records full-time for a 1-year album contract, they announced their greatest hits album to be released on November 21, 2011. It debuted at number 1 in Ireland and number 4 in the UK. The first and lead single, Lighthouse, was released on November 14, 2011. In October 2011, Kian Egan ruled out speculation that Brian McFadden would reunite with them for a television show. Egan said, "All the rumors about Brian rejoining Westlife are untrue. We have been a four-piece for too long now. We love Brian, but it's not going to be. That includes any TV performances." With a new compilation album coming out, it was speculated Westlife would be doing a new Greatest Hits tour. They were scheduled to headline the Childline concert in Dublin on November 12, 2011, and to have another exclusive concert on O2 Blurum, also in Dublin, on November 24. A UK tour was first officially announced on October 18, 2011, with dates confirmed for May 2012, and it was titled, The Greatest Hits Tour or The Farewell Tour. The said tour was sold out in minutes. Stereoboard.com added, after a massive rush, tickets for Westlife's May 2012 tour were snapped up almost immediately as fans flocked to the internet to try and get their hands on tickets for the final performances of the legendary Irish boys band. As part of it, ITV commissioned a unique one-off music spectacular that would mark Westlife's final TV appearance as they took to the stage to sing some of their greatest hits. It was entitled Westlife, For the Last Time. Another show entitled, The Westlife Show, Live, was broadcast from Studio One of London Studios on the same channel on November 1, 2011. Then they had a live guesting on The Late Late Show. On October 19, 2011, Westlife officially announced they were splitting after a greatest hits album and a farewell tour. They described the split as an amicable one and they wanted a well-earned break. However, later reports from the Daily Record said there was an irreparable rift in the band, but was later denied by a source close to the band, saying, "There's no bad blood in the band, they're still great pals. But all good things come to an end and they are all keen to do their own thing." Later, the band also denied it and called the split a united decision. A more comprehensive story behind the split was discussed by the Daily Mail. A second statement was issued through their official site, saying the fans were continuing to be the best support system. Some fans on social networks described themselves as feeling devastated following news of the split. Some media predicted a possible reunion in the future, but Westlife put an end to that speculation by vowing they would never reunite. The band had their final concert on June 23, 2012 at Croke Park Stadium in Dublin, Ireland. The 82,300 capacity show was sold out in 5 minutes. Due to this popular demand, an extra date was added at Croke Park on June 22, 2012. Their last concert was also screened live in more than 200 cinemas worldwide across the UK, Ireland, Australia, Belgium, Czech Republic, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, Germany, Indonesia, Malta, Mexico, Netherlands, Norway, Poland, Slovakia, and South Africa. 3 months after the split, Byrne revealed that members of the group fought with one another more and more often in the latter years leading up to the split, and he felt that it was the right time to end their time together.
Musical style.
Over years of their career, Westlife's music had evolved from teen pop to a pop sound, and blues with an emphasis on ballads. The band identified themselves as a pop band recording pop songs which sometimes comprises ballads and love songs. Westlife is known for their teen pop songs during their early days with slow, mid, and up-tempo songs. Albums of theirs known for teen pop sound include, Westlife, Coast to Coast, World of Our Own and Turn Around. As the years progressed they tried different genres such as jazz and big band with their Allow Us to Be Frank album in 2004 and pop rock in 2009 with their album Where We Are. As they matured, they verged into adult contemporary, most evident on their cover album, The Love Album. Matured pop songs are also found on their LPs, Face to Face and Back Home, and Gravity. Filan answered when he was asked about the radical change in their music, "We've definitely changed, our music has evolved, but not drastically. Westlife is never going to drastically change, but I think we can get more exciting, different and more fun for the fans." During their starting days, The band's musical content was mostly about love and inspirational songs, but as they grew older, they took the chance to have songs that were from an individual's everyday experience in life. Most of the group's hits were composed by experienced songwriters, most notably Steve Mac and Wayne Hector.
Popularity.
Westlife's debut album and single coincided with the apogee of boy band popularity, and their success was most apparent in their homeland and the UK. They had 12 worldwide concert tours over their 14-year career. Westlife performed for the Sultan of Brunei, an occasion on which they were paid Ps $2.5 million to play a private concert of 7 songs. They also performed at the Nobel Peace Prize concert in 2000, and in 2005 with the songs World of Our Own, and You Raise Me Up with Rolf Loveland and Fire New Alice Sherry, and in 2009 with What About Now, and You Raise Me Up. Despite their success worldwide, Westlife were unable to break into the US market. They had only one hit single in the United States, Swear It Again, which peaked at number 20 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 2000. The band made an appearance on MTV's Total Request Live, and the US edition of their debut album, Westlife, was released, but it didn't meet with success. In 2002, with the two most prominent boy bands in the US, the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC, going on hiatus that year, an attempt was made to promote and release a US version of World of Our Own, but was never successful. Flying Without Wings peaked at number 2 in the USA when American Idol Season 2 winner Ruben Studdard recorded and released it as his debut single. In 2003, Westlife went to Nashville to film a TV documentary. While they were there, they gave a live performance of the song Daytime Friends, originally by country music singer Kenny Rogers. The band also had tribute bands performing their songs like West Lives and That's Life. On the other hand, Westlife also paid tribute to their co-boy bands as one of the tour setlists in 2007. Celebrities including Alexandra Burke and Robert Pattinson have said that they are fans of Westlife. Some well-known music artists like Ronan Keating, Will Young, Shane Ward and Ruben Studdard have also covered their songs.
Collaboration.
The group has recorded studio and live performances with some of the most renowned music acts: Mariah Carey, Against All Odds, Take a Look at Me Now, Lulu, Back at One, Joanne Hindley, The Way You Look Tonight, Diana Ross, When You Tell Me That You Love Me, Donna Summer, No More Tears, Enough Is Enough, and Delta Goodrem, All Out of Love. They have also collaborated on If I Had Words with the Vards, I Have a Dream with Indonesian child star Sharina, and My Love with Aimdab. These songs were also recorded and included on various albums. In 2002, Westlife re-recorded their hit song Flying Without Wings with Mexican singer Christian Castro and with Korean singer Boa as 2 separate duets. Westlife has performed live duets with many other music artists including Sinead O'Connor, Silent Night, Donny Osmond, Crazy Horses, Mariah Carey, Never Too Far Hero Medley, Secret Garden, You Raise Me Up, Lionel Richie, Easy, Ronan Keating, The Dance, Dolores O'Riordan of the Cranberries, Little Drummer Boy, Roy Orbison, Pretty Woman, Delta Goodrem, All Out of Love, Raymond Quinn, That's Life, Leriam Wang, You Raise Me Up, Mary Black, Walking in the Air, Kevin Spacey, Fly Me to the Moon, Do, Heaven, Poison, No Matter What, various artists all stars, That's What Friends Are For. Merry Christmas everybody. I Wish It Could Be Christmas Every Day, and even Their Fathers, That's Life. They also performed as a guest star with previous X Factor contestants such as JLS, where they performed their hit Flying Without Wings.
Products and endorsements.
Some of the products that Westlife officially released included books, calendars, from 2001 present, and tour merchandise such as t-shirts, and fragrances. They also received sponsorship for their concert tours from Adidas in 2002 and Volkswagen in 2011. They have official and unofficial books released. The book written by the members of Westlife was released on June 16, 2008 by HarperCollins UK Publishing, entitled, Westlife, Our Story, as part of their 10th-year celebration. The band released a perfume gift set.
Charitable support.
The group have supported various charitable causes, one of which was their song I Have a Dream remastered to include Indonesian child singer Sherina Munaf for a UNICEF fundraiser in 2000. They were also involved in the Helping for Haiti charity single that was released February 8, 2010 in the UK, as well as releasing a cover version of Uptown Girl for Comic Relief, one of their biggest-selling singles to date. They have participated in Royal British Legion and Galway's Irish Water Safety Campaign by doing an advertisement. They also lent their support to the Irish Blood Transfusion Service, IBTS. Kian Egan supported the Strand Hill Indonesian Relief Fund, SIRF, in aid of South Asian tsunami victims.
Discography.
Westlife, 1999, Coast to Coast, 2000, World of Our Own, 2001, Turnaround, 2003, Allow Us to Be Frank, 2004, Face to Face, 2005, The Love Album, 2006, Back Home, 2007, Where We Are, 2009, Gravity, 2010.
Tours.
East Meets Westlife Tour, around mid-2000, Where Dreams Come True Tour, 9 February 9 June 2001, World of Our Own Tour, April 1 28 June 2002, Unbreakable Tour as the Greatest Hits Tour, April 13 25 July 2003, Turnaround Tour, March 2 29 August 2004, Number Ones Tour, February 1 17 May 2005, Face to Face Tour, April 3 24 September 2006, The Love Tour, February 3 21 May 2007, Back Home Tour / 10th Year Anniversary, February 25 29 June 2008, Where We Are Tour, April 5 27 August 2010, Gravity Tour, March 7 10 October 2011, The Greatest Hits Tour as the Farewell Tour, February 22 23 June 2012.